Scouts. We'll swap places if you don't like, so we can see it. Okay? And then musician. Let's do some room over there anyway. Doesn't usually happen at our meetings.
Hello everyone, we're here to talk to you about our recent trip to Kandersteg in Switzerland. It was completely filled with so much fun, amazing memories and new friendships. I'm Eve and this is
Anya,
Alex,
Greg,
Brynja.
And I'm Jack.
This is our whole group in our full Scottish uniform at our training camp in Douglaswood, ready for the fun to begin. This is a group photo of everyone, all ready to walk up Carrot Hill at our training camp. Here are a few photos from our walk. This is us with our tie-dye t-shirts, which we made for part of our uniform for going on our trip. And this is us on another part of our training camp when we hiked up to Loch Randy at Glencova, where we started to make new friends and test our fitness to prepare for the Swiss Alps. Thank you also to Jim, who came out of retirement to accompany us on our hike with the right mountain qualifications to make our training possible. Here are some of our wonderful pictures from our hike. This is us back at camp, adding the final touch to our t-shirts with the Kandersteg International logo. Here are some pictures of us in our wonderful t-shirts preparing for our trip. And this is a group photo of us all in our lovely hoodies for our trip, who were very kindly sponsored by Talkheim. And here are some of our wonderful volunteers who very kindly came in to help us make drawstring bags to keep all our mess tins and cutlery together while we were away.
So on the 28th of July 2016, we left St Andrews at 12:30 for Switzerland. The leaders were easily amused on the bus with a selfie stick, which was infamous by the end of the trip. These are all of the 17 explorers that went on the trip. We had an amazing time on the coach, and I definitely think that it's the best way to travel. Here are the few awake explorers at the port of Dover after the surprisingly short queues. When we arrived in Switzerland, we got stopped as we crossed the border by the Swiss police, where Jack and Alex were very impressed with the toilets. Here we are arriving in the region Bern, where Kandersteg was located. And then finally at 11:30 p.m, we arrived at Kandersteg International Scout Camp after going through 3 countries and spending 32 hours on a bus.
Okay, so the first day we had in Kandersteg, we went up to the cheesery, which is on top of a mountain near the campsite. This cheesery was run by one lady who got helicoptered up and sent cheese down on a gondola to the valley. This was a few hundred metres up the mountain. This is where there was a viewing point overlooking Kandersteg. We split into 2 groups, boys and girls, and this is a photo of the girls having their lunch halfway up. Getting to the top of the mountain was the best thing ever. It was really relieving. It was such a beautiful sight at the top as well. But not as beautiful as me and Craig in this next slide on the left here. There was also a fresh natural water source which we were drinking from. It was very refreshing and very cooling. Yep. And this is us just walking down the mountain. And this is another picture from the top where there is a beautiful view just in the background here. And then after we had a bit of lunch, and we then headed into town to the local swimming pool where we met Daniel, the lifeguard, who we all made very good pals with. And that's me.
So this was Swiss National Day in Switzerland. On the left here, no, on the right here, the took part in lots of activities with 3,000 other scouts that were on the football pitch. This is us walking into the barbecue area in full international uniform, chanting our theme song. No, this is it.
The speakers on.
It's there.
No, it doesn't matter.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So the fourth day at Kandersteg, we went to Trottyland, which we took a beautiful journey in the mountain in a cable cart to reach the high ropes course, which looked out across breathtaking mountains. And this is the whole troop getting a before picture before we set off up the mountain. And this is the leaders regretting their decisions to get into the cart. This is Heidi, the instructor, giving us a lesson on how to attend the high ropes course. And this is John, one of the leaders, taking on the zip wire. And the leaders in Ollie, the bus driver, looking very optimistic. And Jack here, looking far too confident. And I'm just going to run through a couple of photos of the high ropes course just to give you an idea of what it was like. Yeah.
There it is there.
And this is the wise people deciding to stay on the ground. And so this is when me and one of the leaders thought it would be a good idea to meet each other in the car to have a good chat. And when we heard John, a leader, shout one at a time, you can imagine the panic and chaos. And this is us locking the leaders in this wee cart up to leave them up the mountain. And a lovely view from the black level, which only the bravest people managed to reach. And after the afterpick of everyone, surprisingly looking far too happy, in all a great day in which many people conquered their fears.
After the high ropes course, we visited a local wood turner, Edelbode, just the next valley over from Kandersteg. We had to leave the bus and walk up to the wood turner, so we took some photos on the walk up. So there's plenty to show. Yeah, so we had a bit of a 40-minute walk up, but it was good to see the scenery and all the little chalets as we walked up the road. This is just outside the woodcarver's workshop, so some of his work he does. And this is the leaders looking fabulous. This is the wood turner and his son here, and they work in this workshop making gifts for scout and guide groups who've been visiting him for about 30 years. This is all of us in the wood turner's workshop with all of his products and his scout badges as well he displays. This is us when we came back down again with some more of his handiwork and the wonderful bus in the background. On the way back from the wood turners, we took a visit to this gorge just on the road. So there's a big bridge across the bottom, and then you can walk up through a sort of cavern where the waterfall runs down. So this is just some pictures of the cavern and the little passage that runs alongside it. It was quite amazing and breathtaking to see. We've not really seen much like this in Scotland, so it was quite cool to see this in real life. This photo really demonstrates the sort of marvel it was to put that little staircase in, and I don't really envy the people who built it because it looks like it'd be quite hard work. And this is just an after picture from a visit to the gorge before we all got on the bus and headed back to Kandersteg. Back at the campsite we had plenty of free time. This was before we went into town and visited the swimming pool for the second or third time. This is us before we managed to sneak in a little visit to go out to town for dinner, which is quite fun, and it really made us meet other people and get to know people in the group.
So on the 3rd of August, we went on a hike to a Swiss high alpine chalet, which took 4.5 hours to reach. It was great fun, but also hard work. This is Bruno, a Swiss scout who came to Scotland and stayed with us last year with his scout troop. He decided to pay us a visit while we were in Kandersteg and brought his Swiss alpine horn with him. This is all of us before we set off on the hike, sitting on the steps of the chalet, the main building at Kisk. So this is all of us walking along the thankfully flat road before the steep climb. This was a very thin road that we had to walk along, and here's a few more photos from the hike. This photo is overlooking the valley that we were staying in, which Kandersteg was located. So the road was so narrow that they had to have certain time frames for cars going each way, as cars couldn't pass each other on the road, so it was 20 minutes for one way and then 20 minutes going the other way. And then we made it to our first checkpoint, the bridge, with only 330 meters left to climb. And then the climb started. These are just a few of the beautiful photos of the scenery. We then stopped at a little hotel for a much appreciated ice lolly in the heat of the day. Bruno brought his Swiss alpine horn with him to entertain us on the hike. Here's a short video. It was
Go into the next one.
concertina, so it was folded up into a
It was
little
also
bag
fiberglass.
size.
It wasn't a traditional. I don't know if it will play.
Oh, hang on.
Here's a short video of him playing.
I don't think it's going to work. Nope. Nope.
No. Get working there, though.
Here are just a few more photos from the hike. This was when the real climb started, with 200 meters straight up. So this was the hut that the explorers and two of the leaders stayed in. And then 20-hour-long hike, we then ate a well-deserved meal together. We entertained ourselves all night by playing cards overlooking the wonderful alpine views. And this was the leader's slightly more luxurious thought. And this was the main building where we ate and cooked all our meals. This is all of us before we started the walk the next day.
So yeah, these were the traditional Swiss houses that we were passing both up and downhill the mountain. This was the beautiful scenery that we were passing. This river was very well known through the town because it ran right through the Kisk compound. And this was a cow that was allegedly called Zoe. So these were some of our leaders in front of the bridge that we had to cross that 20 minutes up and down. So this was a picture of all of us on the bridge, about 30 minutes away from the campsite where we were staying. So walking down from Gefell, there was thousands of tunnels through the mountains that looked really picturesque. This is us. So it took about 1 hour and 30 minutes in total walking down and 4.5 hours roughly walking up. So it was clearly a lot easier for all of us.
Here is our wonderful leaders and us all having some relaxing free time after our hike. And this is some of the wonderful views and mountain scenery on our walks into Kandersteg. And here's a video of us all having lots of fun at the hill in Kandersteg. And this is our fantastic leaders and bus drivers on their night off in Kandersteg, enjoying a traditional Swiss meal.
Okay, so this was probably my favourite part of Switzerland, the K that we all organised together. Yep. It was hard to teach / instruct them the Scottish ways of dancing because of the language barrier and the attention span of some of the Trump supporters. Probably should say that if we've got any Americans in here today. Hopefully not, right? However, yep, some Americans were okay. However, we then found that they supported Clinton, so some friendships were punished. Next one. We dressed in kilts to give the different nationalities a little taster of Scottish culture. So that was like our uniform for the whole. If we were like interacting with any other scouts, yep. And a few of us got close to other scouts. And some of us made friends. Yep. And others stood and served our country through shot glasses which we filled with iron brew. And we also had a few tasters of shortbread just to give them a little bit of taste of Scotland. And here's a photo of Sasa throwing one of our young leaders that we used to have. But he's now at Kandersteg as a pinky. It's like the leader type things. They organise all the events and stuff. So they're just throwing him all over the shop. And this is another photo of us dancing with all the rest of the scouts. Oh, yeah.
Truly one of the best experiences for me was the international campfire held on the Friday night. It gave us a chance to mix with our international friends and make friends with people we went to Campbell with. We performed a skit and enjoyed the skits performed by other nationalities, and it was a really fun 2 hours. On the on the campfire, every nationality has to perform something different. It was quite good to see all the different cultures coming together and really getting to embrace each other. On the Saturday morning, this was time for us to go. So we all got up really early and had everything packed away by 7 AM, which is quite a feat. This is us on in the middle of our journey, just at Cali. Again, we're the coolest bus drivers ever. And this is us with the bus driver. This is the leaders with the bus drivers on the ferry in the wee small hours of the morning. And this is us on the ferry again in the wee small hours, so that's why we look a bit bedraggled.
Well, club, I don't know what you're on about.
Our journey back took us through 7 countries due to some bizarre French laws. That means you can't go to a country on a Saturday on a bus. So we had to take a massive detour. It was quite fun. However, on our return, the work didn't stop as we had to hang all the tents and dry all the canvas due to the inclement weather back in Switzerland. But on the whole, we all had fun.
So this was the dessert for the Kandersteg barbecue reunion that we had. And this is the Kandersteg crew, a way to dig into the food after reminiscing about the memories we made in Kandersteg. So at the beginning of planning for Kandersteg, I was really nervous. You know, going to a new country, first time away from family, being in charge of yourself really. But I could have not been more wrong about myself. Kandersteg was the best holiday I've ever had. I have met so many people across the world, which I still keep in touch with, and I became closer with my troop and the leaders. I honestly urge you to get your scouts to go to Kandersteg. You honestly won't regret it. We have made so many memories which we will remember forever.
No return, and this is why. Soon the fire of friendship spreads from one to another, and everyone on returning home is richer for memories and dreams of Kandersteg. Now we are going to play a short video of all the feedback from the trip.
I don't think it'll work, Jack. You'll probably have to play it. Just go. Give it a couple.
This is just a few of the cards that we got, the leaders gave us, that we wrote on our favourite bits of Kandersteg and why we enjoyed it. Trying to borrow with all of them.
Leave that a minute.
That was a nice short one, there we go.
Potty land.
Oh, Jesus.
Who said that?
Wow. Are there any questions by any of us?
Was it sunny the whole time you were there?
Oh, that one. These were very good. It was quite, so just going to be like, there was really, really hot days. Like when we went to town and stuff, it was really hot, it was good. But I think,
The weather changed so quick.
yeah, it's like Scotland. Well, it's not like Scotland,
No,
but like
there
the
was,
weather
like,
was so unpredictable. It was
One,
quite,
like thunder, lightning, downpour, and
Yeah.
you just have to run, and then 10 minutes later you'd be out.
I think
Sunny.
one of the nights we spent in the mess tent, which was quite handy to have
Yeah.
when we went there. And we just got everyone in there and just had a dinner.
Built fire.
Built fire. Yeah. So it was pretty good. I think it was raining on the campfire as well, but it didn't really get anyone's spirits down, so it was all good. Any others?
Roughly how many people were there?
What altogether?
Yeah.
3,000. So it's quite a fair amount. Steve, do you have a question?
And as you mentioned Americans, what other nationalities did you?
Oh, we had the Portuguese.
Danes.
they were our favourite. Craig had a special love for them.
There were 1,400 of
There
them.
was like
They'd taken coach loads.
There was the Spanish, there was
Danish, you've invited us over.
Italian,
Yeah.
French,
Hong Kong.
Swiss,
Canadian.
They were from America.
Peru.
There was different parts of America. It wasn't just all one place.
So there's like Pennsylvania,
Texas.
Texas.
I can't remember what one. I think there was one more. Any others?
Are there proposals in every period?
For
the summer?
For the summer, I'm not sure if that's right.
That's the max that camp can take, and generally they fill it. There's a high demand for Kisk, so yeah.
So you got ones from over the summer time, or
Yeah, it continues throughout the year because their autumn season has just started. Their autumn-winter season has just started. But it's all done through the volunteer. I mean, some of you may have seen Brynja being hurled round the Cayley. That was Duncan, who used to go to Ochtermuchty, and he's now Pinky and goes out there and volunteers for his summer.
Apologies, man.
I think a few have got plans to go back and volunteer when they can. They have to be 18.
Any more questions? Nope. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks so much.
Brynja's here if she'd like to step forward. Brynja was the winner of the Unsung Hero Award this year in the Young Scot Awards, which are sponsored by the Daily Record. And I suppose in scouting, we're all about what we can do within the community and help the community. So it's certainly worth recognising Brynja for her wonderful efforts. So step forward, please. There, just to congratulate from scouting's point of view, because we're all very well about giving badges in scouting for things you've done in scouting, but we're pretty poor, I suppose, about recognising achievements out with scouting, so congratulations. Well done.